it just ends like that. I always thought that it was a little more solid before it would roll its way back into wanting to go from off the top. It's a Friday, which means one thing, and I got to find it first before we move any further, because you know how we always start.
Come on, man. Go for it, dude.
It's Friday. Friday. Friday.
SDH AM, John here, you there. Thanks for coming by, as you always do. Got a stacked show, and we kind of go all around the place today. Michael Parkhurst joining us at 9:30, and it is our visits as best as we can get them, because they are two of the busiest men in show business and in mentoring. And so to be able to catch up with Parky, I think Greg is scaling like mountains in Utah or something. He's trying to conquer the Rockies. And so Parky's going to join us at the bottom of the hour, and we'll look at everything that is going on in the world of Beyond Goals. I do have an entry question this time. It has to do with what Parky likes to do to stay up to date. And we'll see how let's see how he's been doing that recently. So we'll catch up with Parky at 9:30, get into the world of mentoring, maybe a little soccer that's attached, and we'll go from there. Also, we're going to hear from Allie Brown, the rookie left back for Lexington SC, as they get ready for the championship in the Gainsbridge Super League. They are hosting Carolina Ascent tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, for the Gainsbridge Super League final. It is number 1 versus number 3 in the league. And we go into Allie's first year coming from the University of Tennessee, Knoxville, and pride of the high schooling game, suburban Nashville. And so we get into her first year, what it's been like as a rookie for her. And conventional wisdom has been, even from her teammates, that she is one of the toughest left backs to go up against defensively in the Gainsbridge Super League. So we catch up with Allie Brown here on the show, 10:30. It is our buddy Niko Moreno from Pulso Sports and Sounder at Heart. We go over Major League Soccer. Niko begged our forbearance yesterday. I imagine it probably had to do with moving someone out of a dorm, because he sent me a note at like 5:30 local time AM. He's like, can I beg off today and come in tomorrow? And I was like, yeah, sure. We're not going anywhere. So the rundown: Michael Parkhurst, Allie Brown, Niko Moreno, and we'll also hear from a handful of folks down at training at the Arthur M. Blank U.S. Soccer National Training Center as they get ready. So it's the U.S. Soccer Arthur M. Blank National Training Center. I get that right sooner or later. So we'll hear from some folks as they are prepping for the game in Charlotte, the game in Chicago, and this thing called the World Cup. We're going to hear from Timothy Weah, Aaron Balogun, Max Arfsten, and Tim Ream coming up here in the show as well. We'll get you set for the weekend, let you know what the matches are to keep an eye on. Obviously, we got to look at what's going on with the Champions League final. I said it was going to be PSG. I haven't changed my mind, so we'll find out what the latest juice boxes are. We'll get you set for the weekend and any and all things that come across our bow. Come across our bow is the word I'm looking for. But that's where we are this morning. So, as always, thanks for dropping by, as you always do. We'll go through all the headlines and all the news and things like that and get you ready for anything and everything there as well. So, all right, there's practice going on down at the training center in Fayetteville / Trilith, whatever geographic element you want to lay into it with. It is a matchup on Sunday in Charlotte. Then they head to Chicago, and then there's the World Cup. So the U.S. men's national team, they're getting busy, and they're becoming kind of the crash course once again of becoming reacquainted with function and form, and trying to think of one brain. It's like, well, if I do this, then this guy does this, and we'll go from there. Opening kickoff brought to us by our friends at Black Pitch Coffee and blackpitchcoffee.com. We start your day with the most important stories in the game. That's the way to start your morning, is with Black Pitch Coffee and blackpitchcoffee.com. Part of the SDH community, showing up at events all over Atlanta. Try their home blend made from beans from Brazil and Guatemala. Heavy-bodied notes of walnut and semi-sweet chocolate, rich world-class finish. Opening kickoff, powered by Black Pitch Coffee and blackpitchcoffee.com. What I wanted to do here is kind of get you ready for the rest of this weekend and kind of lean you into Charlotte a little bit. And so Jason has spent the last couple of days down at the training center and was able to catch up with some folks just to kind of get their lay of the land, their impressions about getting the call, representing your country this close to a World Cup, and what it means to all of them. And I want to start with Max Arfsten. And Max has been a bit of a lightning rod on a couple of different fronts. But here was part of the conversation that he had with the assembled media about what it was like for him and what it meant for him to get the call and what it means for him to be able to represent his country coming up here now in practice, but then in form starting Sunday in Charlotte. Max Arfsten with the assembled media.
Yeah, so I knew I was going to find out on Friday at some point.
Right.
So I was kind of just waiting around, and I was actually at the Columbus Crew facility. I was eating lunch. I just finished training, and my team admin, I guess you can call it, kept asking me have you heard anything? Have you heard anything? I was like, no. And then he just kept telling me to check my phone, and I was like, I haven't heard anything. And then finally I got the video. It was of Mauricio basically saying, if you're seeing this, you've been in the roster. And then I got the email shortly right after, and yeah, so it was crazy because I was at the facility, and my sporting director gave me a hug. So it hadn't really hit me yet, but once I got into my car and I was driving home, and it was raining, so that added the emphasis of the moment, kind of. And yeah, honestly, I started crying. Called my mom, told her that I made the squad, and obviously very emotional moment, for my family and myself. Just all the sacrifices that my mom's made, and also myself to get here. And yeah, it was a great moment. I'll never forget it, and I'm extremely honored to be here for sure.
Did you have a gut feeling one way or the other? You thought you were going to make it or didn't?
Honestly, I don't know. I believed that I was good enough to make it. I believed in myself in that regard, but at the end of the day, it's up to the coaching staff. So I was just trying to, honestly, what I really was trying to do in my state of mind was do everything I can in these games that I'm playing with Columbus to try and make it undeniable. So every game I played with Columbus, I wanted to score, assist, because I felt like I had to do everything I could to just keep making noise, So that was more of my mind state.
Is there a way to explain it? You said when you started tearing up afterwards. Is there a way to explain what was fueling those emotions and what was going through your head?
Yeah, it's kind of weird because I feel like it still hasn't hit me yet, but that moment when I was crying was I was just thinking about my childhood and all the little obstacles and maybe moments where I doubted my journey and where I was going and stuff like that. So I thought about when I was at UC Davis, that was a big one. Because from UC Davis to here, it seems so far away. But I definitely thought about that moment. I thought about when I played for San Jose Earthquake's second team, their next pro team. That was a difficult moment for me because, once again, just feels so far away. And then also my first season in Columbus when we won MLS Cup, but I wasn't really playing that much. And I remember I just feel like my work ethic kind of got me through that. So all those three moments, I know the past couple years I've been playing a lot and getting call-ups, but I feel like I've thought about kind of the lower moments that have helped me grow, in my opinion, to get here.
Max Arfsten, as he's getting ready to be a part of the World Cup here in the United States for the U.S. men's national team. And so that kind of starts our role here. And now we're going to catch up with Tim Ream and what Tim Ream got to say. We did hear from him earlier in the week about the call and everything. And so now that he's had a couple days to kind of have it ruminate a little bit, here was part of the conversation that Tim Ream had with everyone down in Fayetteville.
Yeah, I mean, it was relief. It was excitement. It was, almost like a pressure valve, to be completely honest. A little bit emotional, leaving training and walking through the tunnel and, seeing my phone start to blow up. I dropped everything and called my wife right away. So, just thinking about all the decisions, all the things that you've done to get to that point. Just kind of takes over and overwhelms you a little bit.
So is that process of thinking on all the things that got you there, is something that you didn't really get to have in 2022 because of how weird it was?
Yeah, I think so. I think there was, like I said, there was none of the build-up for 2022. Right. I didn't experience any of it. And so, and I've been open about, thinking that I was nowhere near the picture anyway. So I didn't have the, oh, will I or won't I? It was, I don't expect to be. So I'm okay here. So yeah, it was all of that. I think that the build up was the worst part. Having, doing all the different things and trying to put yourself in a position to be picked. Previously I didn't have that experience.
Tim Ream getting ready down in Fayetteville, getting ready to represent his country here coming up in a couple of weeks. Not to be outdone, we're going to continue the assembly line, catch up with Tim Weah, and find out what it's been like for him to be a part of this process as he gets ready for the World Cup coming up here down in Fayetteville. So here's part of the conversation with Tim Weah.
How's the chemistry come together so far in the early days?
It's been good, the same as usual. I think now we just have to, translate that onto the pitch with some positive games, positive wins. But I mean, the group is loving it. I think, being at our home base now, it kind of brings that sense of, it's game time now. So I think we're all locked in and ready. It's just about how we do on June 12th.
Tim, you bounced around positionally a lot this season with your club. Mm-hmm. I mean, has Mauricio talked to you at all about what he sees for you, with this team and what he wants you to do?
Not really. We haven't really talked, but whatever he needs me to do, I'm always available. I think that's what you get when you're a utility player. I think knowing that he plays a couple of different formations, I'm able to play in a lot of different positions. So, wherever he needs me, I'm available.
What has Mauricio brought that's different or special as a coach?
I would say that South American grit. I think when you look at teams like Argentina and Paraguay, when you look at Brazil, the Colombias, they always have that edge because of their mentality, and they're just nonstop. And I think he's kind of brought that into the group. It's something that I don't think we had before. We were always the good guys, always the nice guys. And now, he's teaching us to kind of be, the bad guys. So I think it's been fun. It's been fun. It's a game I like. Coming from Marseille, that's what we're all about. We're always the bad guys. So, bringing that to the national team is fun.
Score one for the bad guy. See, now this, getting that from Tim Weah, that's the kind of stuff. Everybody's like, oh, they're so nice. They're so nice. There are just times, there are times in your life where you don't need to be nice. You shouldn't be nice. And it's just one of those where you're like, I'm tired of being the nice guy. So, if someone's going to come after you, then by all means, go ahead and don't worry about being the nice guy so much. Don't worry about being the nice guy. Someone wants to push back. I mean, I'm not to the point with, the untouchables where, if they send one of ours to the hospital, we send one of yours to the morgue. No, that's not what I'm talking about. But, it's just one of those where sometimes you've got to have that little bit of edge.
Survey says one more for the good guys.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you're kind of staring at here. But, of course, that was the voice of Scott Hall, and we all know that the NWO, they were the good guys. Of course they were. Intrepid producer Ricky Ricardo's in this morning. We do have an NWSL thing to get into, but let me get through the sound and might get to it before we get to Michael Parkhurst. So we've heard from Tim Ream. We've heard from Tim Weah. Opening kickoff brought to you by the letter Tim. Heard from Max Arfsten. Here's Weston McKennie looking at chemistry, as asked by our own Jason Longshore.
You talked about creating the chemistry and creating that vibe. How important do you think that is to what happens on the field?
I think it's very important. I think, it's just like anyone in your everyday lives. I think whenever you know the people that you're going to war with, that's beside you, and you know their background, you know their history, you know their journey, you know their family, their friends, their kids, their wives, their spouse, whatever. I think that right there is enough basis just to be able to be like, hey, I know what this guy did to get here. He knows what I did to get here. Why the hell not? Am I not going to run through a wall for this guy? Why am I not going to sacrifice everything? Of course, in general, on a team, you should do that anyways, but whenever you know that person personally, like many of us do, we have guys here that have been to each other's weddings. We have guys here that hang out during the summer and off season, and I've grown up with a lot of these guys and seen their journey since I'm 13 years old. Me and Zendejas were just talking about it on the bus now. We've known each other for like 15 years, and we just had I FaceTimed our old coach in the bus right now on the way here and just talking with him. And so I think, knowing each other's life and what they like and what they don't, I think it's a huge thing and a huge role in how the performances turn out on the field.
Thank you. Weston McKennie with Jason/Assembled Media. One more before we get into the breaking news. Here's Folarin Balogun as he was being asked all the questions from any possible angle. So here's Folarin Balogun, and he responds to what it's like for him to be a part of all this these days.
Is it important to get results in those games, you think?
Yeah, I think it's important. For me, I think it's important to put in good performances. The results are something, the reality is the results are not going to be important. The results which are important are when the official competition starts. So for me, it's more important to have a good performance, to trust what we're doing, to trust my teammates, and I think that's what's going to be the real thing that we'll need.
All right, Folarin Balogun. And so once again, a couple of more days of practice today and tomorrow. Jason, I think, is down there today. I'll be down there tomorrow. We'll have content turned for you there. Then they head up to Charlotte for the matchup against Senegal. Then they head to Chicago, and Maddie will be there for that one. And it's an opportunity for the U.S. to kind of get their bearings a little bit and to be able to kind of see where they are heading into this tournament where the world is chasing after a cup. So we'll see how things are. But that was the run of the day down in Fayetteville, down at the U.S. Soccer Arthur M. Blank National Training Center. All right. So I guess let me see if I can find whichever banger comes up first. That'll be the one that I use, considering I didn't really stash the deck when it came to this. Statement from the NWSL. NWSL is going to operate once again spring to fall, 28, 29, and 30. Following extensive evaluation, close collaboration with key stakeholders, made the deliberate decision to maintain existing competition calendar for this period. They remain thoughtful about the long-term evaluation of the calendar, continue to assess further opportunities with the same rigor and broad stakeholder alignment that guided this decision. Any change of that magnitude would be communicated with ample notice, focus on continuing to deliver world-class season and building toward the future. So, once again, you're looking at consistency between now and the year that there is supposed to be a cup that the world is chasing after on the women's side. 28, 29, and 30. You look at the language and the nomenclature here. 28, 29, and 30. So then, 2031, there's supposed to be this tournament similar to what we're going through here on the men's side in 2026. 2027 down in Brazil. U.S. Soccer, as you heard from Emma Hayes yesterday here on the show, getting ready for what it's like to play on the road. Two of the stadia that are going to be available in 27 for the Women's World Cup. That's why you're going down next month, technically next month, a couple of weeks. And so now NWSL, looking at that, they see this tournament coming in 2031, not officially announced, but there was only one bid, and it's not officially official yet, but it's fairly anticipatory that it's going to be heading this way. So host nation plus a couple of other different elements attached to it. 2031. You notice what wasn't said. Well, it was, but it was kind of danced around. So 28, 29, and 30 was what the league says. And so now, remain thoughtful about the long-term evaluation of our calendar, continue to assess future opportunities with the same rigor, broad stakeholder alignment that guided this decision. Any change of that magnitude would be communicated with ample notice. Spring to fall, 28, 29, and 30. It's just as important what isn't said as to what is said. 28, 29, and 30, they're going to continue spring to fall. 2031 coming up around the corner. And it's going to be here before we know it, people. So 2031 coming up before we know it, but NWSL's like, all right, get everything squared away over the next handful of years. And that's kind of where you are. So keep an eye out. But once again, NWSL sticking spring to fall, 28, 29, and 30. And so now, that's what you're staring at. Tadeo Garcia. That's an interesting bot. All right, so Tadeo Garcia is going to be blocked. And then Tadeo Garcia is going to be, Tadeo Garcia 115, not to be confused with the other 114 Tadeo Garcias. So bot, I'll give you more information. Viewer solicitation bot. So Tadeo Garcia 115, you and the other 114, although I don't know if you're really related to one another. Tadeo Garcia, Tadeo Garcia 115, you have been reported. And you've been blocked. So there you go. That's your frickin' Friday. So right now, the NWSL over the next couple of years is going to be what it is. You're going to have the schedule change in Major League Soccer with the sprint and then rolling over. And then you're going to have the gap, and then they're going to be on the universal calendar. NWSL, standing pat. So they're going to be where they are. And, once again, it is part of the palace intrigue that is attached to all of this. Oh, I was wondering, it's like, why am I on that page? All right, so other NWSL news before we anticipate Michael Parkhurst joining us this morning. It is the summer of soccer, and also something that is tied to the Columbus element. Haslam Sports Group sent over a 37% stake in Crew at a $900 million valuation. So 333 million dollars. Nationwide Mutual Insurance agreed to purchase a 37% stake, so 3/8 in the Crew at a $900 million valuation. Deal's expected to close in the coming weeks pending MLS Board of Approval. Jimmy D. Haslam remaining controlling owners, largest stakeholders at 40%. Speaking of the NWSL, multi-week bus tour campaign designed to plant the flag in communities across the country during the World Cup. Tour kicks off in Columbus, including the Queens Classic at Citi Field July 15th. The bus is set to appear outside MetLife Stadium for the men's final on July 19th. And also in the news department, when it comes to women's soccer, CBS Sports is now adding the Women's Super League in the United States through the 29-30 season, 183 matches a year, record U.S. media deal for the league. So you've got that to kind of hang your hat on to when it comes to women's soccer. Nationwide buying a piece of Crew. So you have NWSL to Columbus 28, Crew adjacent, and then the summer of soccer with a bus tour for the NWSL coming up here in the summer of soccer. All right, 9:30, which means one thing. That means that we reserve space. It's like, you get parking spaces and everything. You have the parking lot when you go to work. And in the SDH AM parking lot, you have those reserved spaces. And traditionally, one of the really great parking spaces, I mean, it's like literally you park, you forget your umbrella, you're okay because you can sprint to the front door. You won't have to worry about anything. Your briefcase doesn't get jammed up. The leather's preserved. All of the papers for the meeting are okay. One of those parking spaces is always reserved for our friends at Beyond Goals Mentoring. And so what that means is that now we bring in our buddy Michael Parkhurst to find out what's going on. And you're already off and running this morning. It looks like you didn't park in your parking space in the SDH AM parking lot. You parked out over by the exit, man.
Ready to go this morning.
Oh, boy.
Got to get out quick. That's the benefit of parking near the exit.
Yes, absolutely true. We spent a lot of the first half hour with a lot of time down in Fayetteville. And there's this team that is getting ready for this worldwide competition. And got to hear a lot from them about the players specifically about what it was like to get the call for your country, to be A, representing your national team, and then B, representing them in this situation. You know, as someone who has worn that crest and worn that jersey, I mean, what's it like to get the call, hey, you're going to be representing your country?
It's pretty cool, that's for sure. And I feel like every coach does do it differently. I know there's been a lot of heat on Pochettino for the way he did it, as far as emailing or sending a text message or whatever it was.
Yeah.
There's no good way to do it, I don't think. It was different when I was there in camp in 2014.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because we had a pre-World Cup camp.
Right.
So we were all together. So when I got released, I was in camp. So it was just natural that Jurgen would have a face-to-face conversation.
Yeah.
I don't know if I was away from camp, if it would have made a difference if I got a phone call or an email.
Yeah.
But yeah, super excited. I still remember the first time I got a phone call from the national team.
Oh yeah, who was it?
It was Pam. What was Pam's last name? I don't know off the top of my head, but she was like basically the do everything for the national team back at the time. She did everything from booking flights and hotels and accommodations to communication to everything, anything and everything you needed. Pam was the lady you wanted to talk to. And yeah, she gave me a call and I was like, who the heck is this? I had never spoken to her before. I didn't know who she was. I had no idea that I might get called up into, this was the Gold Cup in 2006. I had no idea that I was even like a possibility of getting called up. So I was like, this sounds fishy. But yeah, super excited. So yeah, it's always awesome to get that email or the phone call.
And I mean, it was 25 caps for you, Cap, from 07 to 014, plus Olympics in 08. I mean, when you put the uni on for the first time, how different does it feel than, it's, you got you have your team stuff and all the team attentions and everything, but when you're staring at it for that first time in the locker, I don't know if there was the great reveal, you open up a box and butterflies fall out or, come out or whatever, but when you get the uniform there in front of you for the first time and you put all of that gear on, is it literally one of those different senses of responsibility? Does it wash over you then? When does it hit you that, oh, man, this is some serious ish here?
Yeah, I think every time you put the jersey on or you see it, it kind of gives you that feeling of, okay, this is bigger, right? We're representing the whole country and everybody that wants to play for the national team and supports the national team, and those that don't even know yet that they want to support the national team. So yeah, I think that anytime you put the jersey on or you're in the locker room and you see it, you have that sense of responsibility to, the bigger calling there.
June 9, 2007, Trinidad and Tobago was the opponent.
Oh, 2007. I said 6, yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't know the year.
6-9-07. What do you remember about that match in particular?
I remember that I didn't think that I was going to get much playing time in this tournament because it was a very veteran roster.
Mhm.
I was one of the very few younger guys on the roster, and this was game 2 of the group stage, and I started, and I was surprised and excited. I had played in back 3 for a long time, so in college and with the Revolution, so playing in a back 4 was different. So I remember being a little bit nervous about that and how is it going to work, and that aspect of things, and just playing with a new center back. I think it was Gooch, but I honestly can't remember.
Okay.
And I remember it was in LA, but that's about it. And we won.
See, but that last thing, that's what's most important.
Yeah.
You mentioned chemistry, and this is something that the guys down in Fayetteville have been talking about a lot. When you're kind of cramming for a test, even though you do have the time together in the past, this one is different on a bunch of different levels. The chemistry, you kind of have a bit of muscle memory to it, but then you come into this your next competition, and is it almost like relearning chemistry all over again, or is it okay? I've got muscle memory. Yeah, we're cool, but then there's some other guys that you might not have the relationships with. How does all of that play, both on the field and between the ears, when you're trying to get chemistry in a crash, like when you're crashing for a test, so to speak?
I think once you play with a guy once or twice, the chemistry's there. Obviously, it can get better over time, no doubt about it.
Mhm.
But you gain enough knowledge to have success, because there's just little things you want to know, like how high does this guy like to keep the line, right? What kind of passing angle does he like? Does my outside back like to get forward all the time? Does that mean I need to cover for him? Does that mean I need to get a D mid to slide over? There's just little things that everybody plays each position just a little bit differently. And can you overcome? Of course. Right? These are all the best players in our country. So of course you can. But if you want to play at the very, very, very highest of potential, it is nice to know these little tendencies of the guys that you're going to be playing next to.
Do you have those kinds of in-depth conversations with your mentees when it comes to relationships and knowing where teammates are? What are those conversations like when it comes to assimilation, I guess?
Totally. Some of playing well is understanding who you're playing with and what are their strengths and what aren't their strengths, right? For example, I had a conversation with a mentee the other day saying, hey, okay, this player is new to your team. He's playing defensive mid. There are passes that you would normally play your defensive mid, who is very strong on the ball, that you probably don't want to play this defensive mid, right? Under pressure, back to opponent, on top of the 18-yard box. Like, don't put him in that position, right? Help him have success, which is going to help you have success. So you have to understand your teammates, right? If you got a blazer on the wing, put it into space, right? Take advantage of it, right? Play to each other's strengths, and we can have success collectively.
And, when you have these conversations, what's the feedback loop like? Okay, so you have that first conversation with a mentee. Hey, you've got these new teammates, learn them. How much of a feedback loop do you get? Yeah, I did what you were telling me, and we had this kind of a moment the other day. What's the feedback loop like?
Yeah, it's a good question. I
do they give you like
no? I don't get much of a feedback loop, and probably some of that's on me of circling back and asking. I think that they understand it, because sometimes they get the feedback, okay, that makes sense, or didn't think about that, or what should I take into account? So there's questions that are asked. But very little do I actually circle back afterwards, after I've kind of mentioned it and brought it to their attention to say, hey, how'd it go, type thing.
Well, and I mean, the reason that I bring that up is because when you have conversations with mentees, it's a constant learning evaluation. It is stages and steps, and you might have a stage or a step where you have progress here in one column, but then you might have a regression in another column, or it might be static in a third column. And it's like trying to figure out, okay, how do we make this as even distribution of learning as possible to where everything ends up net positive, even if there is the kind of idea where, oh, okay, so this was a plus this go around, but it sacrificed this, or I forgot to do this. And that was why I was asking about the kind of consistency and feedback loops that you get.
Yeah, for sure. And it absolutely makes sense, because if you're out there on the field, for example, and you don't normally, and we did this with Darlington Nagby when we played with him, it was like, hey, if you're in trouble.
He actually spoke up? He actually said something?
No, of course not. I'm saying when we played with him, it was like, hey, if you're in trouble, just give it to D, right? It doesn't matter if there's a guy on him. It doesn't matter what kind of pass you give him. Just, screw it. Just pass it to Darlington.
Huh.
Versus, if you've got anyone else in that position, you're like, you can't do that. So what do you do now? Right? You got to figure it out on your own differently. So yeah, that changes the way you play a little bit, which can result maybe in a couple more mistakes or putting yourself under pressure a little bit more, but it's going to help your teammates. So yeah, you're right. There's a give and take, and shoot, it's like our golf game, right? One day the driving's on, one day the putting's on. It's tough to get it all going on the same day.
Oh,
but it's the same thing in soccer too, where it's like, hey, yeah, first touch might be great today, but my crosses weren't good, or confidence is down a little bit, whatever.
I love the fact that you have confidence in my putting game. That does not exist, sir. In this particular dojo, my putting game is non-existent. To full disclosure, just to give you an idea, I'm gonna go ahead and stand because you have to see this to believe it. But I don't have. Actually, yeah, I do. All right, so yeah, I do have one of my putters here with me. I always have my putters here with me. So
look at that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So traditionally, how when you putt, it's like straight on, shoulder width and all this kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because I catch myself looking entirely too much, and the whole pendulum idea of, okay, where's the hole? What I started doing a long time ago, and this is back in the days of black and white television, kids. I opened up my stance to where basically my feet are almost perpendicular to each other. But what that does is that opens me up to see, and I'm not doing this the whole time.
Mm.
And so I'm wide open stance. Feet are at about a 90-degree angle, and so that way I can work my way through, and I don't have to continue and get caught, with my head down or looking at a weird spot. So I'm trying to get that done. So no, the fact that you have confidence in my putting game, I've gone through. That's basically what I do now. I'm like wide open. So if anybody ever wanted to throw a water balloon at me, they would absolutely hit me square in the mush because my stance is so open now.
Or you'd see it coming because your stance is so
true.
open,
That's true. I like that. I like your optimism. But yeah, still, when it comes to optimism in my putting, that does not exist.
Yeah.
Halftime with Michael Parkhurst here on the Friday Free Kick, going over everything from golf and his confidence in my golf game, which is more than one of us, to mentoring and what's going on at Beyond Goals. And feedback. When you were playing, did you want feedback as much as it was given? Did you want more feedback as much as if it wasn't given to you enough? How were you when it came to, hey, new guy, am I giving you the right weight? What was your feedback loop when you were playing, and did it differ as you got older?
Yeah, I appreciated feedback for the most part. I think that as you get a little bit older, you get more, in general, get more confident in yourself and what you're doing. So you're a little bit more comfortable in receiving feedback.
Yeah.
I think I was pretty open. I mean, I think I've told you before, with Stevie Nickel and my first coach as a pro, we didn't watch any video. There was very little feedback, but no feedback was the feedback. If you were getting feedback or you were put on the bench, that was your cue to know, okay, things aren't going that great.
Wow.
So,
but what's it like having no news is good news? That's got to freak you out, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, I don't think it's the best way to go about things. Everybody does it differently, but I like to know, and I had these conversations with Conno Smith, our coach up in Rhode Island, as far as, conversations with players of letting them know, hey, you're going to start this game, you're not going to start this game, reasoning, right? You don't have to do that, because he just had a bad experience with a player where, it didn't quite go as well as he wanted the conversation to go. I was like, why am I even doing this? Why do I even talk to the players if they're going to give me an attitude?
Yeah.
And we had the conversation of, right, there's positives and negatives to doing it, but I still think it's the right thing to do. And I think players in general want to know where they stand and what the feedback is, because I think a lot of them just want to improve and want to know, okay, hey, if it's not going well for me in your eyes, why? Mm-hmm. What can I work on? And so I always encourage my mentees to ask for feedback. It's something that drives me bonkers about ID camps in college. They don't give much feedback, and it's crazy. But yeah, I think feedback is super valuable and important.
Okay, so I'm writing down ID camps as a topic here. I mean, why then? And so I feel like Ross Geller all of a sudden. Why? Why go to an ID camp if you're going and you don't get feedback? It seems counterintuitive.
Yeah, the best thing about ID camps is twofold. One is, if you're a player that plays on a team that doesn't play in big showcases and big tournaments and whatever, and there's certain schools you really want to try and get in front of, going to an ID camp gets you in front of their coaches. No questions asked, right? They are there. They are going to see you. You can interact with them. So that's of benefit, no doubt about it. And I think that, for players that even do go to ID camp or go to showcases, it's still the same thing where you get an interaction with the coach. You're able to meet them. You're able to see the campus. Coaches want to see players multiple times. So there is some benefit to ID camps. The downside is college coaches will invite anybody to their ID camp. You don't know the level of the play at the ID camp, what it's going to be like. And then I see it time and time again that they'll get some sort of feedback during the camp, like, oh, you're doing great. Oh, work on this. Oh, this or that. And then nothing afterwards. And players reach out and nothing. And I just think that if you're asking players to come to your ID camp and you're going to have them for 2 days and they're going to spend all this money to come, every player should be getting this is what we see in you. This is what you need to improve. This is the level that we think you're at. Because if I had a kid that was going to an ID camp at UCLA and the coach said, hey, just a heads up, your player is a D2 player, it'd probably save me a ton of cash and a lot of confidence and all this stuff, instead of going to 16 other ID camps or all these things at D1 schools, when I'm like, okay, maybe we need to be checking out some D2, D3 schools.
Well, and these days, I would think that, and if I'm wrong, then let me know. I would think that it's almost like American football, where the decisions for your mentees are either, okay, because there's always the brass ring. It's like, yeah, I want to go to Wake. I want to go play at Wake. Or I want to go play in Clemson, or I want to go play, someplace that is, gangbusters or whatever. Big name, big pedigree, all that. But I would think that today, considering what the industry is, and I call it that because college athletics is a business, that if you want to play now, then you're not going to those marquee places. You're looking for a Marshall. You're looking for something in the Sun Belt. You're looking for something where, if you're a D2 player, you start in the Gulf South or wherever. And then if you work out well there at that level for a year, because of NIL and the transfer portal and all these kinds of things, you can work your way up the ladder to that point that you thought that you would be at ground zero at day one. But if you work to it, then you'll get there eventually on your own merit. It's not just parachuting in and sitting on a bench. Am I wrong?
No, 100% right. Yep. And to your point of transfers, I looked at all the D1 transfers last window, so not the current window. I think the window might still be open or just closed, but the one in the winter, and 25% of the players that transferred to a D1 school came from outside of D1. So NAIA, D2, D3, JUCO. So 25% is a decent number, and that's just of that window. And then there's this window as well. So there's opportunities abound, which is great. And it's necessary because now we've got this ruling coming in June about the 5-5, and that's going to affect recruitment negatively, potentially. So it's challenging. We'll see what the ruling is and if they adjust things. But if you've got a max roster of 28 players, you've got seniors who now all of a sudden qualify for an extra year, who are not going to be moving on now from your program. Where's the room to add the incoming freshmen?
You don't have taxi squads like you do in the National Football League. I do want to come back to the 5-5 in a second, because once again, as always, in the last 10 minutes of the segment, you open another window. When you're having conversations with your mentees, are they looking at their number one choice only, like your 17, 18-year-olds rising, junior rising, senior graduating? Are they looking at their number one choices? Do they understand the landscape more than when you started as a mentor? Do they understand the dynamics now?
For sure, after my first conversation with them. I think that everybody's got their hopes and their dreams, right? Which is important. I think that there's a good amount who understand and keep things open while still hoping to have those blinders on of, hey, here's where I really want to go. I think everybody knows I should do this and should do that, but I also think that we have that natural tendency to, want to play in D1, want to play at a high level. And that's where the communication is important from these coaches, because, it's very difficult for players and families to discern what's real interest and what's not. Because all of a sudden, if you think you're getting some interest from a couple D1 schools, even if they're like low level or mid-major D1 schools, now all of a sudden the mind frame in the players and the families' mind changes to, oh shoot, we are D1 level, we focus there now. And now the D2, D3 options kind of become less relevant. So yeah, it's tough. It is really challenging.
I mean, when trying to remind/convince, hey, you got these seniors that aren't going anywhere. Are you happy with being roadblocked for a season, maybe two, to hang at your number one absolute choice? Or do you want to play and get reps so you can sit there and have something on tape where if you're blowing up D3, people can sit there these days and go, oh, okay. And then someone knocks on your door that's maybe a mid-major or, something like that in D1. But yeah, it's almost like now as a student athlete and as a parent or parents of same student athlete, you almost have to look at things in three dimensions now because of number one choice. It's like doing the SATs. It's like you sit there and you bubble in the institution, and if you get an 1100, then they'll sit there and they'll write back to you and go, nah, fam, you need another 300 points. Get back to me when you get to 1400. Or, yeah, okay, that's great. But then you have these other schools that might have been eavesdropping. And it's like, oh, 1100. Okay, that'll work here. You want to be in the honors program. And it's like, focus on what really matters. Do you want to sit, get that big education, in quotation marks, and then think that 2 years is going to help you out? But remember that folks from the other 2 years that are from the outside, they're now competing with you too, to get into those original spots that you thought you could be getting into by staying. So that this whole idea of now having to think about things in three dimensions, if you're a parent, if you're a coach, if you're the student athlete, trying to be there as a guide in the right way for the adult to make sure that the kid understands the whole landscape. I mean, it's probably different than what it was, 2-3 years ago even?
Oh, for sure. And it's changing monthly, it seems like.
How much of a challenge is that for you and Greg, having to keep up with what's going on in the outside world and still be a mentor and have folks understand, hey, this is how it is right now. Things
Totally.
are still changing. How much of a challenge is that for you guys?
It's a big challenge. It's a little easier for Greg because his kids are in youth soccer, because right now we're talking about the changing of landscape in college soccer, but it's happening everywhere, right? There's new leagues, there's new rules, right? We had a whole host of mentees go through the change of birth year to school year change back, right? That changed a couple of years ago, and now it changed back again. So splitting of teams and all this stuff and tryouts. So we just went through all of that. Most players have had their tryouts now. So youth soccer changes every year. There's new leagues and new acronyms. The landscape is crazy. Same thing in college. So yeah, it is a lot to try but it's a lot for parents too, right? And so we do our best to stay on top of it so that we can provide our best guidance to some of these families who are just, confused and lost throughout the process.
How much time do you spend learning in addition to mentoring these days?
A decent amount. And sometimes I learn from my mentees, right? Sometimes they're telling me about, hey, did you know this? Or, hey, my son plays for this team or that team and this change or that change. And I'm like, oh, wow, I didn't even know that. So thank you for that information. And they don't, honestly, some of them are really awesome. They don't really expect that I know every in and out of every acronym and rule change. So once I have the information, though, I can help make a better decision for them.
Yeah. So since you opened up the 5 and 5, I'm going to put that to the side because that's, like I said, that's over here, and that's more than 3 minutes of a conversation. So my last question for you this time: last book that you read?
The Happiness Project.
Okay.
Essentialism was right before that.
Okay. So are you projecting happiness, and are you essential?
Ever trying. We can always do better, but yeah, I've taken a few things from both of those books. A few things that don't apply, or I don't know.
Well, but the thing is,
it
doesn't. I think that learning has its own universality. I think that if it doesn't matter where you're learning and what you're learning from, I still think that no matter what you touch, there's going to be a lesson attached to it. And it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be, if you thought a book was going to give you a lesson, it probably gives you something else. If there's a nonfiction book that you're reading that gives you something, I can apply this to here. I think that it doesn't really matter. I think everything that we touch when we're trying to learn will impact us either immediately or later on down the line. Have you thought about writing a book?
I was just going to tell you that, John. I have just recently, because I think maybe I told you before that I wish I had written one earlier, but the most recent book I read was by a friend of mine who sent me his book because he wants me to write the foreword of it.
Ooh, okay.
And it's a really, really interesting book about resiliency, and they call it elasticity. They think that being resilient just brings you back to where you were. But being elastic means you can stretch the boundary and get past where you were, so that you can continue to get better. So it's really interesting and scientific here and there. But I really enjoyed the book and can apply it to a lot of the things that I had throughout my career and what I continue to talk about now. So I'll probably write the foreword for this book. And I was talking to him saying, like, I thought about writing a book. It's like, it's never too late. So, I think that you've said that to me as well. So it's a possibility.
Let's turn that possibility into a probability, huh? I mean, it literally is like piecing together a jigsaw puzzle. Don't get me wrong. Mm-hmm. And having done it, 6 times? Well, and I've got 7 and 8 in the queue, and I need to clone myself to be able to have the book writing person write those 2. And then, focus on everything else that's going on. But no, it is, like I said, there is, and, we get calls from PR people all the time. It's like, hey, do you want to have so-and-so on? He's written a book. Do you want a PDF or do you want the book? I'm like, no, I want the actual book, because for me, there is nothing better than opening a book and turning a page and conquering that page and the information that's on it. And then when you've done that for however many pages and you close the book, there's that sense of accomplishment, A, in the written form of it, and B, that you have taken someone else's work that you valued and went from one cover to the other. So no, I always want the book, because I know the effort that went into it from the author, and you learn something from that and the satisfaction of turning pages and learning all the way through.
I agree with you. I love the permanent book. I spend enough time on electronics, so I don't want to read on electronics. I don't even like doing my crossword on the computer. I want to print that thing out, and I'm going to do it with pen and on the desk. So I'm with you.
Columbus Dispatch Sunday papers. He is a better golfer than Brad Gazan. The video is available to prove it. God knows what was left on the cutting room floor, where they wanted to make sure that I'm sure that Brad ended up looking better than you in the presentation. As always, my friend, it's great to go down these roads, because it's three-dimensional talk that goes places that obviously we don't normally anticipate, but it's always a great, a stimulator when it comes to what it's like to be a mentor, what it's like having mentees, and all of that give and take. It's great to see you, my friend. And, I'll be banging on your door when it comes to everything about this cup that the world is chasing after here in a bit. What are you doing this weekend?
Baseball, softball weekend. Exciting.
I can sense it. Deacon's looking at you like, man, stop talking.
My work partner left me because the kids are home.
Wow.
I know.
Peace out. All right. Be good.
Have a great weekend, John.
See you soon. Michael Parkhurst going into added time this morning. So literally it's he's a better golfer than Brad Gazan. Don't let anybody tell you different. Okay, now it is time to get into gossip, rumor, and innuendo. Niko Moreno joining us at 10:30 to go through everything in Major League Soccer. What else is going on when it comes to all of the stuff that's worth viewing? Champions League final. We'll get into that and the juice boxes and everything else that's attached. So, and your Rhode Island FC update. Right now, 1 point out of the playoff picture, but it is a jumble in the East. Basically, you have a good week. You get 2 wins. You could rocket up to second in the table behind Tampa this weekend. Lou City's taking on Tampa. And if you're watching any game in USL Championship this week, that is probably the one to keep an eye on. And Tampa was an underdog. I got to check this out really quickly. So, literally, I'm going to check see if the juice boxes have changed when it comes to everything in Champions League final on odds portal. Yes, of course. You and everybody else. Okay, so the USL Championship right now, and still Lou City favored at home at Lynn Family. 7 o'clock tomorrow, and I'm guessing that's going to be Watson Kerr. Tampa Bay is a plus 260 on the road. 90-minute draws a plus 240, and Lou City at home is a minus 116, just to give you an idea. Tampa 7 points clear after 10 matches. They have not lost yet in 2026 in USL Championship. 7-0-3, 7 points clear, double-digit plus on the goal difference, 7 points ahead of Detroit City. Rhode Island, once again, 5 points. They're 1 point out of the playoffs, and they're well done on goal difference. So even if they were even on points with the teams above them, they would be probably getting into goal difference, because it would be the same number of wins as Charleston and Pittsburgh. So keep an eye on all of that. But Rhode Island, 1 point out of the playoffs right now, 5 points out of being in second place behind Detroit City. Tampa Bay and Lou City are this weekend. Other games in USL Championship, Dell's keeping an eye as Detroit City comes to Charleston. Hartford Athletic is host to New Mexico United. Indy 11 is an underdog at home. Rhode Island is going to the mic to take them on. Pittsburgh on the river is going up against the Miami FC. They're a big favorite on the minus side there. 8 o'clock, Roots and Colorado Springs. Even Steven, plus 145 on both sides, draws a plus 240. El Paso and Lexington, and El Paso's a plus 114. Lexington on the road's a plus 204. 10 o'clock Saturday, Monterey Bay favored at home against Loudoun. Their last win on the board has given them that boost. Vegas Lights at Cashman at 10:30. They are a dog to FC Tulsa, who's a plus 129. Vegas Lights a plus 160. Phoenix and Sacramento. Phoenix continues to be a large underdog at home. a plus 179 as Sacramento comes to town at a plus 135. 10:30 at the corner of 45th and Washington, I think is where it is. And then Sporting Jackson, Brooklyn, that is on your Sunday. Sporting Jackson, Brooklyn, even Steven. And Sporting Jacks, after getting a 3-0 lead and finally getting points on the board, they and Brooklyn are tied. So 0-8-2, you end up with a draw. The 4-4 crazy draw with San Antonio for Sporting Jacks. Still looking for that first win of the year. Brooklyn 5 points ahead of them in the standings at the bottom of the East. So that's your rundown of USL Championship juice boxes on the weekend. We'll get into everything that is happening here. So Champions League is plus 135 for PSG. 90-minute draws a plus 240. Arsenal's a plus 220. I'm going with PSG. All right. Gossip, rumor, and innuendo, what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it. I kind of teased, obviously, with the numbers, at least USL Championship and the Champions League final. Thanks once again to our friends at Fanatis, fntz.co/soccer down here. That link is important. It helps us out, helps them out, helps you out when it comes to all of your streaming services and more things to stream and more things that you can have access to. You get all the BNs, which means you get in league play, Turkish League, French League, and Polish League. Then you get everything attached to the African continent. You get CAF, you get AFCON, you get Champions League. Right now they're in the U17 tournament. And Morocco got thumped the other day at home in the U17. So you have all of that available to you on all the BNs. You get ties to CATV, ties to Tigo Sports. You get Libertadores Sudamericana. There's news out of that happened last night. Big news that happened out of that. Then you have, what else? You've got TVV out of Venezuela, but if you have cable, you can get it. You have CDO out of Chile, Liga 1 Max Pro out of Peru, and a lot of the A and B divisions in South America as well to add to your stacks of enjoyment. You get the LPF out of Argentina, and all of that in one place at fntz.co/soccer down here. TEC, by the way, after the loss by Boca last night, and I just spoiled that spoiler, they were outside La Bombonera, and it was a unique situation. Bounced in their tournament, they're out. And so now they're having to go through qualifiers. They get to play O'Higgins. But, yeah, the live shots from outside the stadium after a Boca loss to bounce them from a tournament, it's man-on-the-street stuff, and you just got to have a decent set of ears to know when to tune in and when to tune out and sit there and go, earmuffs. All right, so today, Ligue 1 on BN at 2:45, Pro Rail playoffs. Ligue 1, Ligue 2, Nice and Saint-Etienne, 2:45. FS2 has the Canadian Premier League tonight, Quebec and Toronto. That is at 7 o'clock. BN Espanol simulcasting Ligue 1. League 1 tonight on the Plus, Knoxville and Greenville. Hey, two teams in the Southeast that don't like each other. Fox Plus has a friendly. Bosnia and Herzegovina, North Macedonia is at 2:30. If you have not seen the song that is attached to the Bosnia and Herzegovina team coming to the United States, I'm just going to quote you the chorus lyric. Take me to Golden Gate, I will assimilate. It is out there. We'll probably find the link, and it's a minute 50, I think, and it's an absolute banger. But, yeah, take me to Golden Gate, I will assimilate. The lyrics of the songs for the Bosnia and Herzegovina national team as they come to the United States, to Canada, and to Mexico. So Bosnia and Herzegovina, North Macedonia, Fox ONE and Fox Plus and Fox Soccer Plus, U19 and U17 semifinals and MLS Next Cup. I've got to look at that because of the involvement of Atlanta United and their 4 squads. So the MLS Next Cup, let's get into the graphics here while I'm thinking about it. So MLS Next Cup, where's my graphics? I need the brackets, darn you people. So today it is at 11:30, the semifinals in the U19s, 2 o'clock. You get a U17 semifinal. That is on the MLS YouTube page. Jalil Alibama, Kalen Carr, AJ Ricketts, Carter Augustine. They're in Salt Lake City to give you that activity in the MLS Next Cup. Now, I need the MLS Next Cup, like the bracket is what I need here. Schedule and scores. Okay, so here we go. So in the activity for Atlanta United, once again, the 13s and the 14s were kicking off yesterday and today. The 19s and the 17s, they're the ones that are wrapping up as we go. So where's my bracket? So I need MLS Next Cup. There we go. Okay, so MLS Next Cup schedule. Let's go to schedule, shall we? The U13s, how about a bracket? So U13s, checking to see about Inter Atlanta loses to Inter Miami CF yesterday morning in the championship playoff in the opening round. And Atlanta United knocked off Cincinnati United in the playoff in the U13. So Atlanta United advanced, and their work is not done after advancing out of round number 1. So view competition. How about that? Here we go. Okay, so Inter Atlanta loses to Inter Miami. Inter Miami knocked off Sacramento Republic in PKs. They're going to take on St. Louis Scott Gallagher this afternoon at 1 o'clock Eastern time. Atlanta United was low right, and they knocked off Strikers FC yesterday afternoon late in round number 2. So they get the Real Football Academy at 11 o'clock. So in about 45 minutes, they're going to be they're in the round of 8, and they take on Real Football Academy coming up at actually 11 o'clock local time. So 1 o'clock 1 o'clock Eastern time. Atlanta United, Real Football Academy. They are in the U13 round of 8. U14, they are also in the round of 8, I believe. Atlanta United loses in PKs to Weston FC in the opening round. And then Weston has made their run. They're in the final 8. They're going to take on Silicon Valley Soccer in the U14s at 1 o'clock. That is in the round of 8 in the U14s. Then it was, I'm trying to check really quickly. It was who won the U14s? Hang on. So U14s was Cedar Stars Academy. They knocked off City SC San Diego 1-0. So Cedar Stars Academy wins MLS Next Cup in the U15s. In the U16s, Barca Residency Academy beat Total Football Academy 2-0 in the final there. Atlanta United, trying to see where there was one bracket. It's like 4 teams from Atlanta United made their way into the tournament itself on MLS Next Cup. And so 17s, remember, they don't have a U18 team. Atlanta United is in the Final 4 in the U17 tournament. 4 o'clock this afternoon, they take on Inter Miami CF, and the winner of that one gets the winner of LAG and Orlando City Youth SC. So keep an eye out on the U17 matchup in the homegrown version of the MLS Next Cup. And then the U19s, the Final 4 is St. Louis City and LAFC, and the winner of that one gets the winner of Crew and Barca Residency Academy. Atlanta United, I'm trying to find out, where's my grid? I mean, you have like FC Delco. You have Atlanta United. Oh, that's right. They lost in PKs, or they lost a heartbreaker to Red Bulls 3-2. So the 19s in the opening round made it out of the opening round, lost a heartbreaker to Red Bulls 3-2 in round number 2. Red Bulls then lose to St. Louis City, and they're in the Final 4. So keep an eye out for the semifinals in the U17s this afternoon involving Atlanta United, MLS Next Cup out in Utah, taking on Messi and Friends U17s in the semifinals once again in the U17 tournament. So that's your MLS Next Cup date. On the women's side today, Amazon Prime has NWSL Friday, Racing Louisville and Denver at 8. On the Plus, Northern Super League, Halifax and Ottawa at 5, which is 6 o'clock in Halifax. NWSL Plus has Orlando and Bay. Tomorrow, once again, high noon, Champions League final, PSG and Arsenal. CBS Sports Network, not late night, but at night, Louisville and Tampa Bay at 7. CONCACAF Champions final, Toluca and Tigres, 8 o'clock on FS1 tomorrow. Fox Soccer Plus has a couple of matches. Scotland Curacao friendly at 8 a.m. if you're up that early. Doubleheader in the Canadian Premier League at 3 and 6. Fox Deportes, Mexico and Australia is at 10 o'clock. 2 to NA goes from Champions League to CONCA Champions to the Mexico-Australia friendly. Unimas is simulcasting CONCA Champions. Univision is also doing Champions League and the Mexico-Australia friendly. La Liga 2 is on the plus. Real Sociedad B, who cannot be promoted, taking on Cultural Leonesa at 10 a.m. You have all of the matchups that we talked about in USL Championship, all 8 of them, 6 matchups in USL League 1. Fox O&E has 2 friendlies, and the Canadian Premier League and Conca Champions. 5 matchups in MLS Next Pro on the weekend. Atlanta United 2 has the weekend off after losing in the shadow of Subaru Park last Saturday. I'm still shaking my head on some of the moments there. Paramount Plus, Champions League, doubleheader in a USL Championship available. Ecuador and Saudi Arabia is available as a pay-per-view on Fanati's. Women's side, Ion triple header in the NWSL. Peacock has the final for Lexington and Carolina, which is where we're going next. And at YouTube, U15 final, U16 final, and in the Academy Division and U16 final at 5 o'clock as well. So now it is time to catch up with Allie Brown, find out what's going on as they are getting ready. Since we mentioned the Super League final, we're going to catch up with Allie Brown and find out what's going on in Lexington and what her season has been like out of the blocks as a star left back, as they are now in the last game of the year, getting ready for Carolina Ascent to visit. Lexington coming up tomorrow. And now it's time to get the Lexington perspective on things and the pride of Ravenwood, Brentwood, and the University of Tennessee, and part of the backline there at Lex. You know, when you look at this, Allie, and you are in your first season as a pro, and you're playing in a championship game, that's not a bad run, eh?
No, it's been a great start to my professional career.
When you were leaving University of Tennessee and Lexington knocks on your door and it's like, hey, we'd like for you to be a part of this. What was your initial reaction to being a part of something at Lex where it's ground up pretty much in a league that's kind of ground up in its second year? What was your initial reaction?
Yeah, honestly, I didn't really know much about like the Super League in general. And so I was kind of like, oh, like, sure, like I'll hop on a call to just like see what it is, because I honestly didn't know much. And then after going on a call, talking to the coaching staff and like kind of hearing about it, it sounded like a really cool experience. And I was like, oh, this is totally something I'm interested in.
So you dive in, and what was your wake up call that this is entirely different from it just means more on the soccer pitch?
Honestly, I think I joined like 2 weeks late. So I was at camp, so I had to come a little later. And hopping in, like I was kind of like, okay, is this like college? Is it like, I didn't really know what to expect. And honestly, it was definitely a quicker speed soccer wise, but definitely a similar vibe to like the culture was awesome. The girls were great. I think it's just definitely a quicker pace than college and like more physical and just like higher IQ, but otherwise very similar.
How long did it take you to kind of get adjusted to the advanced pace? Everything's quicker. You have to process things faster. How long did it take you to get to full song in fifth gear?
I think for me, I would say like 2 weeks maybe, or even like a month, honestly. Like I feel like for me, it kind of takes me a second to just like, I guess, just have like confidence, because I was like, oh, I'm the youngest player. I'm coming in. I'm new. So I would say like 2 weeks to get comfortable, and like a month to like fully playing like myself.
How different was it learning from someone like Kosuke Kimura from what was going on in the SEC? How long did it take you to kind of understand where the staff was coming from there in Lexington to what you were used to in Knoxville?
Yeah, I don't think it was much of a change, like the information I was given. I think something great about Kos is like he was a player and he's very passionate and is super involved and like gives good advice. Like was like, when I played, this has helped me. So I like having that perspective of like he had played and like understands what we're going through. But I think similar information receiving from coaches.
What did you think you needed to work on the most to get adjusted to life as a pro? Because, obviously, everything in the SEC is at one speed, college is one speed, but then the pro is at entirely different angle. What did you think that you needed to work on still after you left UT to get ready for the pros?
I think just like, I also kind of switched positions in college. I played a center back and now I'm playing left back, outside back. And so slightly a position change. And I think biggest thing was kind of just like being comfortable on the ball and under pressure. I think in the pro, like I'll be under pressure sooner and having to like think of where I'm going next quicker. And so I think just that like comfortable under pressure and like making my next move quicker.
How much of your center back brain did you have to leave behind basically with activity now at left back? It's like, okay, yeah, I was that person. Or do you take that information and still apply it, even though you're still going to be marauding down the left?
Yeah, definitely still apply it. But like, I do have to remember like, oh, I'm allowed to step up and get high. Like I can join the attack and I don't have to sit back. I think that's the biggest thing. But I think it helps like knowing the center back roles, just being comfortable defending 1v1, defending in the air. It has helped me as left back, but definitely join the attack. That's the biggest difference that it's been.
And I could just, I have this thought in my head, just it's like, oh, wait, I have space and I have the ball. Wait a second. I need to go forward.
I can dribble forward. Yeah.
When you look at practice, and apparently, from what I understand, everything at practice, it's like, oh, okay, man, she means business. She's one of the toughest folks that's out there that I have to go up against, when it's kind of half and half. What's it like as this new person that's a rookie, that's a left back, that was a center back and kind of remembering your stuff, but now you're getting a different challenge and you're challenging even your teammates out there? What's it like to be recognized even out of the blocks as someone that's a handful out there?
It means a lot. It gives me a lot of confidence. I think being a rookie, being newer, it can be stressful being like, okay, like you're thrown into mid-season, but having my teammates having my back and being like, I'm nervous going up against you 1v1. Like it honestly gives me lots of confidence and just knowing that like they believe in me and trust me as a player.
So soccer in the Southeast, obviously with where you grew up, south of Nashville, and going to Knoxville to play in college, and now you're in Lex as a pro. What's it been like for you to see the game continue in the southeastern United States, where a lot of folks may just sit there and go, it's the South, but to see it grow in Nashville, in Knoxville, in Lexington, and all the different places that you get to go? What's it been like for you to see the sport grow in the South and the Southeast to where you can be a part of something in a pro league that has to do with women's soccer that is, all around the United States? What's it been like for you to see it grow?
Yeah, it's been really cool. I think playing in Nashville, we had 4 girls come to UT. So I got to play with some teammates I played in club. And that's super cool because we have a community in Nashville cheering us on at Tennessee. And then being at Tennessee, not too far from home, was great because like you could walk around, everyone's like, go Vols, like go UT soccer, which was great. And I love my homebody, so I like being close to home. So when Lexington gave an offer, I was like, okay, that's like not too far of a drive for my family. So it's been really cool that they created this club, and the Lexington community has been great. We get a good amount of fans, and the youth clubs come out and support us. So I think it's cool that we have the ability to inspire younger generations and just how it's grown in the South.
Allie Brown from Lex getting ready for a title game in her first year as a pro. So, what do you do for an encore after this? Kidding, that's later. Hanging out with us here on the morning show. When you mentioned being close to home, and so literally it's just a couple hours for family to cross over a state line. Have they been there with you on road trips? Have they been there to see you at home games? What's the support been like from home there?
Yes, they have been able to travel. They come to a lot of my home games. I have 3 other siblings who also play sports. So
but don't they know that you're playing in a pro league?
Right. So they haven't been able to travel to away games much because my younger sister has been playing flag football and they'll go to her games. But they've been to all my most of my home games, and they'll be there for the final. My whole family can actually come out for it. So honestly, their support means a lot, and I love having them there.
Do you get home cooked meals? Do they get to do, it's like, hey, here's my laundry. Can you help me out? Do you still get that kind of thing?
Yeah, no home cooked meals, but my mom will come and clean my place. She does laundry, yes. And they'll take me out to eat and get groceries. So it's, free meal.
How many tickets are you having? Are you having to talk to teammates about getting tickets for this and taking their allotments, or what's
yes, I was figuring out this morning, I have my whole family's coming. So there's 7 of them. And then my boyfriend's family's coming. So there's 4 more. So I was asking people for some tickets. Yes.
Are you getting the allotment? Are you going to be able to satisfy everybody in that block?
It sounds like yes. They were really working with me, so I have enough.
Okay, because when you have your A block there, or is it the B block? It might be the B block. When the B block is there for this championship, I mean, it's for this franchise. It was a slow start, and it was a lot of 2-2s. I mean, it was a but then you get into what you're staring at right now, and you're on a roll heading into the postseason and heading into this championship game. What has it been like for you on this stretch run to remain on the task at hand to be able to get there and be in a championship?
Yeah, honestly, it's been super cool being a part of this group. I think something that's really special is that we all get along and like have really been like, it takes all of us as a team, even if you don't play. It's just like we have good morale and a good culture. And I think that bleeds into how we play on the field. We have good chemistry and like have each other's backs. And I think that's something that shows from our success. And it helps us out a lot.
Yeah. And, when you look at the run of form recently, just kind of going back in time, it's 3 on the board, goalless draw, 2 on the board for a win, 4 on the board for a win. You're getting a lot of clean sheets. That speaks to the defense. And I know that's something that's close to your heart and your DNA. What's it like as a source of pride not to be giving up a whole lot of goals this season, especially down the stretch?
Yeah, I think it just when we don't give up goals or our goalkeeper makes big saves, it's like just a boost of confidence and like motivation. All right, let's go score another, and keeps us in games. And also an incentive when we do get shutouts. Our goalkeeper brings in donuts the next day.
Yeah, and so when you have
so that's always
that kind of faith behind you between the sticks, especially in playoff and championship situations, that really gets to you. What's study hall been like getting ready for this one?
For this game, I think it's not overthinking it. I think the biggest thing is like we want to play how we've been playing and focus on us and not focus on the opponent, obviously a little bit, but I think just continuing to do what we do and what makes us good has been the biggest message.
Yeah, and so you knock off Dallas 2-0. Sarah and Kat get your goals. What was the vibe like after winning in the semi? Was it, okay, there's still stuff we got to do? Was there momentary excitement knowing there's stuff that you got to do? I mean, what was the emotion like in the locker room after that?
Yeah, it was definitely, we wanted to celebrate our win because, again, it's a big deal to win in the semifinals. So we were definitely excited. But the message was like, we're not done yet. There's one more game. So it was definitely like, great job, like way to get this done, but we still have one more to do. So don't get like ahead of ourselves.
Set pieces. 17 goals off of set pieces. Did I read that right?
Maybe, probably.
I mean, okay, so then let's talk set pieces in general. Obviously, a great source of pride. How much time, how much work at practice goes into set pieces and making sure that you can attack from a bunch of different places to put the ball in the net?
Yeah, always match to -1. We take a good chunk of time and walk through them. Our coaches come up with great plays, try to change it up, new signals. So they spend a lot of time on it.
I mean, and then okay, so here's the breakdown, and I thank the league for this. So 17 goals from set pieces, 4 from throws and 8 from corners. I mean, 4 from throw-ins and 8 from corners. I mean, that's obviously, with you and in your presence, obviously creating as much havoc as humanly possible. But 4 from throw-ins, break that down for me. How does a throw-in turn into a positive like that?
So we actually spend not a lot of time, but there is talk about throw-ins and how like, oh, we want to play quick, or, oh, like this is how we're going to set up. But we also have some players that can do a long throw. And so when we get a throw in higher up the field, sometimes we'll set up in the box as it's like a free kick or something because they can throw it as far into the box. So that definitely helps. But yes, throw-ins are important.
So if I'm walking in the door for the first time, if I'm there at Lexington and you've got your 11 tickets and the B block is there, they're all in that one place. If I'm walking in the door for the first time, how would you describe what Lexington SC does on the field when you are successful offensively and defensively?
You're saying what we do on the field when we're
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we do a really good job of keeping the ball and playing soccer. We are like a possession-based team and like to keep the ball, swing it around in order to create chances. And I think that is something we take pride in, is being able to connect passes and then lead to goals. And we're also play for each other, super like encourage each other. I think that too.
How would you break down how things are defensively, other than suffocating and making sure that the opposition gets zero chances on target? How would you break down what you do defensively when you're successful?
Yeah, I think what helps us the most is when it starts from up top. When our forwards are applying pressure, our midfield is compact, we're compact as a team. I think that really helps us. And then when we do get broken, 1v1 moments, people making big tackles and slides definitely makes it successful as well.
It's when you look at the standings and you see how the top 3 teams in the league were basically, it's like, yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and throw a tarp over the 3 of you because you're that tight. I mean, it's goal difference that got you ahead of Jacks, and you wrap up with 53 points, both of you. Carolina's 2 points behind you. How crazy competitive is this league?
I think that's one of the great things about it, is that all the teams are good. And like I think it was cool that we could fight to the end and everyone had like the shot to win the Shield. I think that makes it like even better, because like you don't want to win blowing out teams. It's good to win when you're going head to head, and you have to win in order to get the Shield. And so I think it's super cool that this league is super competitive.
Do you get to walk around town when you're there? Do people sit there? Do you wear your Lex gear when you're out, like doing stuff normally, or just like a polo or something? Do people stop you and go, hey, hey, Allie, what's going on? Do you get stopped in grocery stores?
I don't wear my stuff out a ton, so no, but I will say there definitely are like parents that like reach out on Instagram DMs that are like, hey, congrats, or like just random fans will like reach out through Instagram, which is cool.
What's it like when you get to be that role model, either for the younger players and the younger players, the ones that might be elementary school age, the U12 and under, the ones that get to visit you at the field, and then you have the high school age? What's it like rubbing off and being a role model like that?
Yeah, I think it's super cool, because I totally remember being that little kid and looking up to older players, being like, they're so cool. Like, oh my gosh. So after games, I think it's really cool that we'll spend time like signing anything kids want, talking to them. And honestly, like thinking back to like when I was young, I was like, that was so cool. So being in this position is honestly awesome. I think that you don't really realize it until you're here. You're like, wow, like I can inspire younger kids. Like people look up to me. Like it's crazy.
Wow. Well, okay. It's crazy that in your mind that you get to inspire folks. And do you get time to sit there, and does it sink in, or like immediately as you're doing it, or do you have to kind of get back into the locker room and maybe be in your car or something? You're sitting there going, man, I'm rubbing off on folks. This is really cool.
I would say not initially, but sometimes I'll be talking to my parents and someone comes and asks me to sign something, and I'll go and sign it and come back and they're like, that was cool, like whatever. And I'm like, yeah. So like, but yeah.
Do you still sign things that are orange?
Of course, I definitely do. Yes. Someone actually came with a Tennessee checkered jersey the other day, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is cool.
What have you learned about yourself in this first season as a pro that you might not have known about yourself going in? Like I said, it could be completely athletically related, or it could be just as a young adult growing up. What did you learn about yourself as a pro?
I would definitely say just kind of like, I think there's a lot of ups and downs in soccer, and especially now that it's like my job, just kind of trusting myself and my instincts. I think it can be hard if things don't go your way sometimes. And like, now this is like my career. I think just really trusting myself and like remembering like why I'm doing this, and like that this is like, I get to do this. This is my job. I get to play soccer. So I think that has really helped, and just like being confident in myself.
Allie Brown, formerly a center back at UT. Now she's a left back in Lexington. Brought to us by the letter L, left and Lexington. Championship game coming up tomorrow against Carolina Ascent in the Gainbridge Super League. Thanks for dropping by. I know that you're running around at 9,000 miles an hour doing things and trying to be like 9 different people at once and prepare for a title game. I can't thank you enough for dropping by the morning show. Be safe. Get there, have fun, enjoy the experience, and we'll catch up with you on the flip side.
Thank you for having me.
Allie Brown and the Band of Renown as they get ready for the championship game in MLS Super League. Okay. Wow. All right. I've just gotten a note from our friends at Major League Soccer that we're going to have a surprise guest. Literally, that's how this goes sometimes, and it'd be just kind of something of a crash mission. All right, so I'm going to respond and go, okay, all right, bring it. So let's see who it is. Literally, our friend Kirk Reynolds at Major League Soccer. We were having our debrief about the postseason and trying to, or not the postseason, but the gap space here, and try to figure out, okay, with 30 individuals that are attached to programming, how do we, continue to educate folks on the cup that the world is chasing after, and also, continue to inform, educate, enlighten, and all of that. And so we had a bit of a powwow a couple days ago, and I opened the door and I said, it's going to be really interesting to see how this goes. And our friend Niko Moreno is set to join as well. And so we're going to have a bit of a collision here, and I don't know what it's going to look like when it comes to colliding. So literally our friend from our unknown individual from Major League Soccer is going to be joining us here in a second, and it will be a bit of a colliding of things, and then we'll bring Niko in because Niko was probably moving someone out of Washington State University. That's what my guess. When he reached out to me at 5:30 local time yesterday, and he was like, can I come on Friday? I'm like, yeah, sure, you can always come on Friday. That's no big deal. But my guess is that he was moving somebody out of a dorm. That's my guess. We'll come up with that information coming up here in a sec, and we'll lay it all out. Tell you what. Here's what we'll do. We'll turn it into a three-way dance. So when our guest shows, Niko, what is up, my friend? And you are up and running. It looks like you're up and running. So styling and profiling as always. So what is the score, sir?
What's going on, big man? Hoping that I had figured out the connection problems, but I'm starting to see a little bit again. So hopefully this doesn't go down.
Well, okay. So what are you using your phone, or are you using the computer there in the office, in the studio?
Yeah, my laptop thing's still not ready. I got a camera for it, and the stand's not attaching to it. So once again on my phone, but I am using Chrome now.
Got it.
And it was working out, but now it's starting to lag.
Of course. That's let me go back to find the advice that I got from our friends when it came to freezing. And so they said, use the home Wi-Fi. And they said, if you're using an Android, go to Chrome. If you're using iOS, go to Safari and use the Wi-Fi at home. So that's what they were saying. So I think
it's working a little bit better for sure.
There we
go.
There it is.
Yeah, so excited to be on as always. Kind of upset that we weren't able to talk a lot more last week, but hey, it's World Cup season, I guess. We are moving on. We have finished the first half, if you will, of the MLS season. So there were we had a lot of shows in that regard. But Heidemann, as always, just to be on with you.
Yeah, it's fun to have you go with the mission that is Major League Soccer. And like I said, I am anticipating an unknown guest from Apple TV. So when that guest comes in, we'll do a bit of a three-way dance for a little bit and just kind of do a howdy do on a Friday. But obviously the biggest news came a couple days ago out of Philly. And it's like, what do we do about Bradley Carnell? And with one win, you end up going from Supporter Shield to one win in your first 14. You're 1-9-4. Philadelphia pulls the trigger. What'd you think?
I am not one to make panic decisions or let go of coaches immediately. And I'm a true believer that every coach deserves a certain amount of time in a team to make that team theirs.
Yeah.
but there is a straight flush of bad results that any coach can have that.
And there we go. I don't know. I legitimately don't know what happened. It might be the fact that Niko is in a cement tomb. I don't know, but we'll find out. We'll get this squared away, and we will orchestrate it as best we can when it comes to trying to get cell service out of studios that are below ground level and things like that. So, like I said, we will do our best, and we will effort, and we will have conversations with our overlords to discuss what's going on. But I mean, that was the big story, is Bradley Carnell, and it was Dylan and I were talking about it on Wednesday, and it was one of those where you're going, okay, do we? What do you do here? Do you wait? Do you let him? Do we sit there and go? Do we let him kind of orchestrate it and figure it out and work on the future with this coach and with this administration, or do we move on? And that's the big question now in Philly. Like I said, we're efforting local reacts, and when they get to a point to where everything is settled, then we'll have those discussions, and we'll let you know what's going on. Because like I said, we were efforting sound out of Philadelphia and trying to lay it all out and go, okay, so here's the new dynamic, and here's how it looks, and here's what the future is going to be. And we go to, Jay Sugarman had a bit of a press conference, and they said it was a collaborative effort to move on from Carnell. Admitted they knew bringing in a lot of new players in the offseason, it would take time to gel. They don't believe they saw that gelling. So then Sugarman said, collaboratively to try and make sure we're taking as much information as we can before we make tough decisions. So it was a consensus decision. We needed to move in a different direction. Certainly hope throughout the entire first half of the season that we'd see the progress we wanted to see. We knew coming in that we had a lot of new players and that it would take time to gel. We just didn't see that gelling happen between the players. We saw a bit of loss of confidence, and that's a hard thing to turn around. Record year of spending, relatively speaking, for Philadelphia. And now it's a chance for them to try and figure out where to go from here. And yes, to the conversations that we've been having, Andrew Rick is in camp as a training goalkeeper, as a part of all of those discussions. And so we had anticipated that there were going to be more than just the 26 on the list for Philly. But Philly, obviously, one win through your first 15, Supporter Shield in 25, and you now have folks that are drifting in and up, and you end up with other news in the front office to where folks are officially now named in places, and we'll see what the future holds in all these individuals. Oh, wow. Look at this. Oh, Cello, where are you, my friend? You're frozen. That's the first thing, is that Cello is frozen. That's nuts. Okay, so, all right, hang on. We're getting a collision here. So, Cello, go off of the Wi-Fi in the hotel.
What's up?
What's up, Cello? Are you on the Wi-Fi in the hotel? There you go.
I'm going to turn it off.
There you. Well, no. They say stay on the Wi-Fi.
Are we good?
Yeah, good. I'm glad to hear your voice, man.
What's up, buddy? How are you?
All right. Real quick, where are you, sir?
I'm in Pasadena doing some stuff for MLS, and then tonight, I take a red eye to do match day for CBS in Stamford, Connecticut.
Oh man, loving that. We had the camp going on in suburban Atlanta for the USMNT.
Yeah.
Your early vibe on what you're seeing about relationships, everything all orchestrated so they can go chase after this cup.
Listen, it's going to take them a little time. They just got into camp. They're just starting to train. The first time they've really been together. the pressure now of now you're in it. There's no backing out. Now you're in it. This is World Cup. So listen, this group is, I don't see a lot of hiccups. I don't see a lot of, possible weaknesses when you replace this guy with that guy. The roster's pretty solid. I mean, the only thing you can't replace is a Christian Pulisic. You can't replace a Weston McKennie, but hopefully they stay healthy. And in this group, listen, we've had enough nonsense. Could we be honest? Let's just be honest. We've had so much nonsense lately. Withy is so unprofessional to get an email. He should have got a phone call. We're professional athletes. Everybody's different. You got a phone call, great. You got an email, great. Are we really making that big of a deal about this? I mean, the World Cup's 2 weeks away. I'm more worried about a coach sending out an email that you didn't make the team. That's weird to me.
To me, I'm like, that's not a story. Coaches act differently. And move on, people.
Hey, listen, that's exactly my point. And it took me, I got to be honest with you, initially I'm like, okay, would I rather have had the coach sit me down and talk to me? And then I thought about it after a few days. I'm like, what the hell is the coach going to say to me? Hey, I'm sorry you didn't make the team. Okay. And where do you go from there? You know what I mean? So it's all good, man.
Awkward conversations 101. It's just like, you want to sit there in a room where there's a lot of dead air. You just want to sit there and move on. I mean, that's like literally that's what I was thinking.
The coach isn't going to tell you exactly why you didn't make the team. I mean, the coach is the coach. He's going to be like, listen, this is a group I picked. This is what I felt is the best for me and this group to move forward. And so, I have kind of turned my mind a little bit on after a few days of mulling it over.
Just another couple of minutes with you, and then we'll let you loose because you got stuff to do.
I'm good, bro. Good. You got me.
Oh, well, I mean, it's just, I'm going to reserve this and catch up with you during the tournament too while you're in Connecticut. If that's okay.
Got that.
And you'll be on the East Coast. You won't be getting up at like 7:30 to talk to me in the morning. It'll be like normal hours.
Interview, so I'm good.
So real quick,
yeah.
What are you the most confident about this group? What concerns you the most?
You know what? This is when you look at this group in the history of soccer in this country, we've never had so many players playing in top teams. We've never had players winning Champions League. So when you look at this group, you look at very skillful, very talented players. The hardest part about soccer is the hard part, and that's finding the chemistry, putting 11 players to kind of sink in and be on the same page for the World Cup. And I think that's the hardest part as a coach. Now you've got to find the right chemistry on that field, the guys that you think will work together the best, because it's not just about an individual play, it's team. You're going to win a World Cup or you're going to lose a World Cup, not by an individual. Because listen, Argentina won because they have Messi, but the other 10 players worked their ass off for him, to cover for him, to chase for him, for defend for him. We have 11 players that have to play a almost near perfect game to do something special in this World Cup, and they're capable of doing that. We've seen it. So now it's just a matter of a little bit of luck here, a little ball deflects off this guy's leg, and it goes that way, a good play, you know what I mean? So, but I would think the confidence is, and the positive is, this is a very skillful team individually. The negative is they've got to learn to play as a team. That's going to be the hardest part.
All right. Question from our host of our U.S. soccer programming, and I'll bring this into play here. And he asks about center backs. And he asks, how do center backs build relationships during training? Feels like we haven't settled on the best pairing.
Well, if you go back, Richards and Tim Ream have played a lot of games together. I mean, a lot of games together. Every time they're in camp, they're playing. So different time, different era. Different FIFA calendars. There's so many games these guys play now for their national team, through a Gold Cup, Nations League, you name it, they play. So a relationship is built basically by practicing, playing games, and a lot of these guys have played a lot of games. This is a young group that's been together for a long time. This will be the second World Cup that quite a few of these guys have been together. So that relationship's already there.
So you're heading to Red Eye, you're heading to CBS. What are you doing, sir?
Oh, I will be doing studio for CBS Match Day. I'll be doing morning footy. I'll be doing the podcast I have, Call It What You Want. So I will be in Connecticut for about 20, 25 days previewing games, more than likely doing a few watch-alongs, like Sunday, we're doing the USA Senegal watch-along for CBS. So just going to enjoy this World Cup, my friend.
As always, it's great to hear your voice. Great to see you. And, I'll be knocking on your door soon. Be safe travels going to the East Coast. We'll see you soon.
Thank you, brother. Have a great day.
There goes Marcelo Balboa. It's not every day that you can have cello come on. Here we go. Niko. There he goes. Where are you? There it is. Hey, check you out.
Hey, what's going on? I definitely have figured out that it's the phone.
Okay.
This is coming from a laptop. This is going to get better because once I set up the camera, it's going to look better.
No, it's all good. You
But it
stop.
definitely, am I coming across pretty good?
Yeah, you're good. You're solid. No lag, no nothing.
All right, love it. Yeah, I think this is what we need to do moving forward. But man, I really wanted to ask Marcelo Balboa a little bit about some of the things he mentioned. Look, he's one of my favorite, by the way. I love Marcelo Balboa. He tends to give it to you straight, but he's also not hyperbolic with his takes, and I really like that. I don't think he clickbaits. He doesn't rage bait. So I really like him a lot. I was hoping to ask him a little bit about this whole situation of the midfielders because he sounded pretty certain there about not having any weaknesses, and I love that, man. I really, he talks about men having to grind behind the big stars like Argentina and did with Lionel Messi. And I think that, the U.S. men's national team has that, and if there's anything that Pochettino has emphasized on has been some of that grit, some of that determination, and some of those guys that are going to be pushing the McKennies, the Pulisic's. And yeah, I really wanted to talk to him about the whole Christian Roldan and the center midfielders.
Well, I mean, hey, now we know we have the studio situation situated with you. We got the temporary fix, and then when the computer is all gassed up and ready to go, we got you good to go. So we were talking about Bradley Carnell, and you're not a guy that wants to do rash decision making.
Oh yeah.
But
I mean, 100%.
But I mean, when you're 1-9-4 or 1-10-4, and you're at this particular point of the year, it seemed like a natural place. If you wanted to make a decision, then this would be a natural place to do it. So you could have 7 weeks to sit there and get it all squared away.
Yeah. And kind of what I said, I think before I cut off, is that regardless of you wanting to leave a coach in order to have a process and respect the process and respect his ability to install his curriculum, but Bradley Carnell had a couple of things going against him. One, he was already with the team a couple of years. He put this team at the top of the mountain, right? I mean, they were the Supporters Shield. I believe he was Coach of the Year, if I'm not mistaken.
I mean,
right?
yeah, I mean, you're getting Supporters Shield, but that's the thing, though, is that when you're in St. Louis, and he does the same thing. First year in St. Louis, and the example that I always give in this case is you're the pitcher that gets called up from AAA, and no one's got book on you, and so you're thrown into that major league start. It's like, oh crap, we got to call this kid up from Tacoma, and he's got to start for us tonight, and no one's got book on him. He goes 5 2/3, gives up an earned run. They pull him with runners on base. He's in there long enough to get the win. And then he does well enough in the subsequent start. There's a couple of starts to stay up with the big club. First time through the league, they don't have book on him. And so he's going to be, he's going to be that guy that goes 5, gives up an earned run, maybe goes 6, gives up 2. But the second time through the league is when everybody catches up to him.
Sure.
And I think that's what's happening repeatedly now with Bradley Carnell. In St. Louis, first time through the batting order. Everybody doesn't know what to expect with Bradley Carnell. We see what we see with St. Louis with having Berkey in net, and you've got, Lewin and Joao Klaus, and you don't know how quite to respond to it. But then you go into the playoffs, and it's a best of 3. You do all of that great work in St. Louis. Into the playoffs in a best of 3, you get swept, and you basically get Horizon jobbed out of the playoffs. Second year in the league, everybody knows what's coming. that, he might not be able to get you on a short term, but we can get you in a series. And then he has that rough start in year 2. Lutz Pfannenstiel still gets rid of him. And then Philadelphia is like, oh, we'll bring that over here. First time through the league. Jim Curtin adjacent when it comes to his game plan. Has problems, in the Eastern Conference. Everybody didn't figure him out. But this year, you jettison a lot of your vets, a lot of your key vets, and you see what happens with only one win to the World Cup break.
Yeah, and that's what I would say if I'm playing devil's advocate, is simply that, using the pitcher analogy, I mean, look, you could, have a mean fastball and a phenomenal C12 curveball, and maybe you did well your first year because you had a whole bunch of really good offensive power batters that would allow you to rest a little bit in between innings. But if you get rid of all those big time batters, and now all of a sudden I'm finding myself 3 and out, and I got to be out there on the mound 3 and out, I'm getting myself out in the mound, I'm going to get beat up because I don't have time to rest. My arm's getting tired. And I think that's what happened to Cornell, because regardless of me understanding that there was such a series of bad results that there was no way you were going to be able to keep Cornell, he was also given a bad hand because you let go of Kai, you did not replace him. You let go of Baribo, you did not replace him. You let go of all of these players that were important to the team, and now you were expecting Cornell with all these youngsters to just do it all over again. And even himself, he said that they went too heavy on the young players. And this is a team that's bottom last when it comes to salary or spending, $11 million. Getting rid of Glesnes is something that I still will never understand. I don't understand what they were thinking or what the thought process was there. He was the one solution to that back line. He was the leader. He was the one that puts it all together. And all of it just changed. So too many pieces left and none were replaced for me to only blame Cornell for this whole situation. But again, as I mentioned before I got cut off, there is always a royal flush of bad results that a head coach is given that you cannot get rid of. And once that happens, it's over, baby. I mean, it's over. And a 6-4 loss to Inter Miami was simply the last drop. And I understand why he was let go. You know what? Usually I don't believe the whole, it's mutual to part ways. In this instance, look, if I'm Cornell, I got to also save face a little bit and say, whatever I'm doing is not working. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm going to move on. So it was a situation that just got progressively bad. But I just want to reiterate that this is not just on Cornell. This is on a bad front office that had a bad plan, that created a bad roster, and the results proved it.
So then when you look at the 6-4 first set won by Inter Miami, and second set starting, and Seattle, and then Philadelphia will have the serve. How much of an indictment is a game like that on Messi and friends? Because when Philly gets out to a 2-0 lead, then it's, I think, 3-1, then it's 3-3, then it's 4-3, then it's 4-4, all in the first 45 minutes. I mean, this, look, you go to Pullman, and if you go to Pullman on a weekend, like when you and I were in college, there was always that group on the floor in the dorm on a Friday night that had the plastic wading pool, and they'd go to the store. They'd go to Albertsons or Ralph's. They'd get all of the fruit that they could find. They throw it in the wading pool. Then they throw all of the alcohol they can find in a 10-mile radius into that wading pool, and you come up with this hunch punch mix. That's what that first half of the game was on, was that mix that the dude who's in the middle of the dorm on the floor is like, here, try this, this is great. And then you end up, stumbling out of the room and falling down in the hallway. That's what that game was on. How much of an indictment is it on Philly with a makeshift backline, and you're bringing up 3 dudes from Union 2, Sundstrom and LeBlanc, and I'm missing the third one, and it's going to kill me, but 3 players you bring up from 2s. You're having issues at the backline. It's young. You're going to Miami. You're getting the offense on the board. They come back. You get the lead again. They come back, and it was chaos. I mean, how much of this is a double indictment here?
I mean, it's clear. I mean, there is no way that either Hoyos as a coach or Messi as a leader of a group came out happy with that result. I mean, yes, you got the win, but giving up those 4 goals, you were down initially. Yes, once again you come back, but it's a huge indictment on what we've seen out of Inter Miami for a very long time, which is this team cannot defend to save their lives. They don't have anyone that can hold possession. They're a team that completely relies on whatever Luis Suarez can do, that just all of a sudden came back into 2010, Pistolero Suarez in this particular game. You're able to get your superstars into this game and perform, but at the end of the day, swinging back and forth goals is not what you want. You need to be more in control. So it's definitely an indictment on how unbalanced this team is and how reliant they are on certain players. And that's just never a good thing. I've been wrong before because that's kind of how they won last season. But it's just not the optimal way for you to get it going, especially when you have Messi coming out because he felt a little tickle in his muscle and he knows that the World Cup's coming up, so he's got to get out of it. And it's all fine and well, but eventually you're going to need other players to perform. Eventually you're going to have to hold possession and control the game and control the tempo, and that's what Miami has been unable to do. And on the other end, Philadelphia, look, with the little bit that they had, as you mentioned, bringing up players from the second team. Look, Ilowski is a guy that I really like, and he, gets a hat trick. Can you do more of that with him? You know what? Maybe, but it's just not enough. It's just not good enough. Even when you're players of talent and the little bit of things that you have going for yourself are now are working to the max capacity, and you still can't pull off a game. It's hard to ask Bradley for more.
So then how do you think Casemiro fits into what's going on at Miami Airport adjacent new stadium? How does this work?
Look, Casemiro is a guy that's going to provide you something that you don't have, and is a ball winner in the midfield, a quality, categorically one of the best CMs that are out there, that have been out there for a while. He's a dog. DePaul might act like Messi's bodyguard, and he might be able to get away with certain things, but he's not that guy. He's not that dog, right? And Casemiro, he gives you a little bit of that. This is going to sound kind of funny, ironically, but he's like a Mascherano type, right? That Mascherano no longer in the team, obviously, but he's a Mascherano type on the field, right? He's a leader. He's going to go head to head. He's going to win duels, and he's still doing it. 34 years old, and he's still playing excellent. So he's going to be a good find for this team, and I think it could really work.
Okay, because obviously they'll find a way to fit him in. That's once again, we've gotten into that discussion about bringing in big dogs and making them fit and under caps and under capology and all of that. But you look at the East, and it's still Nashville, and with what BJ Callahan has been able to do as we get here through match day 14 for them. Berhalter in Chicago, they're 5 points back. New England with Marko Mitrovic, they're at 25 points. That's your top 4. So Chicago finding their way under Berhalter, behind Messi and friends. New England with Turgeman and with Luca Langoni and all of these pieces, and Carlos Gil, who doesn't have to be the man anymore. He can be a man. He doesn't have to be the man. So you're seeing teams coming at it in the East from a couple of different directions where you bring in new faces, they integrate well, new coach. You bring in faces, they integrate well, you're looking to add more. In Chicago, you're integrating well, second year there. And then you've got Messi and friends, and then you've got what BJ Callahan's doing in Nashville. And that's your top 4 in the East. Vancouver and San Jose, 2 wins clear of everybody else in the West. Vancouver, I think we'd anticipated, once again, it's the same dudes. That's going to be their thing. San Jose, with what Bruce wants to do. I admit I freaked out when they lost Christian Espinosa. I'm like, dude, what happened there? It's like, well, shows you. And Bruce just kind of sits there. And here's my Bruce Arena impression. Here's my Bruce Arena impression. So literally, I'm sitting here at the beginning of the year freaking out about Espinosa. Here's Bruce. That's Bruce. Literally, he's not sitting straight in his chair. He's just kind of slunk down, and he's watching everything else, and he might get up to kind of watch everything. He's just like, yeah. That literally, I'd be like, you see? And so it's Vancouver and San Jose right now. And then you look at the other top four, RSL with their young guns. Dallas is a bit of a surprise for me, but Peter Musa can take you places. LAFC, Seattle, Houston, Minnesota, and LAG wrap out the West. When you look at the West, what stands out to you right now from what you're seeing?
Look, first of all, real quick on the East, the only team I'm not buying still is the Revolution. I feel like that's going to come down here pretty quickly in the second part of the season. That's just me throwing it out there. Love Nashville. Really like Chicago. Firepower, good system. I think that both of those places have coaches that can continue to build on what they have done so far. Don't know if they have it in New England. Maybe I'm wrong, but I just don't quite see it. And in the West, it is pretty clear that where we were at the beginning of the season has really come to fruition, with the exception of maybe San Jose. San Jose has been a surprise, but all the other teams, I think we expected them to be as good as they are. Vancouver, without a doubt, to me, are the top of the crop in the West. They are the ones that have the better team. They have the kind of all the elements that you need for a championship team. They're good defensively, phenomenal midfield. They have the star power. They have Brian White that is on a tear as of recent, and you have a phenomenal coach. So, my host, Ari Lillenwall, asked me last week about, when you look at the West, is there, he was trying to argue that there weren't many teams in the West that were better than the Sounders. And I don't know if that's true. I mean, the Vancouver, the Sounders have done great, and they have performed well, and they have a good system. But when you talk about having a team, like a full-on team, and you look at the rosters and you look at what they were able to do all season, how consistent Vancouver's the better team. I mean, they're just the top of the Western Conference to me. There's just no doubt about it. I think that it is still a pretty open West, right? Because just because they're the better team doesn't mean that they're going to be able to stay there. I really like RSL. I'm still not necessarily full-on San Jose, because I do feel like Shaqiri is a huge problem if he's not back, right? He's got that lower body injury. We don't know what's going to happen. Timo Werner's been on and off, and you could see the top talent that they did have bring down that team to a little bit of a reality. So we'll see what happens with San Jose and Bruce Arena, but the rest of those teams, with the exception of Dallas has been a little bit of a surprise for me as well. They have some players. The coach has been better than I thought he was. He simplified the game a lot for Dallas. But I don't know if they really have that controlling midfield. I don't know if they have the defensive fortitude to really be a contender in the West. But they're in the mix. They're absolutely in the mix.
Yeah, I guess we call it DTF, huh? Defensive testicular fortitude. Is that what we call it, DTF going forward? Portland. They finally made the trigger. They made the decision on Phil Neville, and you figured it was coming. You didn't know when, but leading into the World Cup break, they made their decision, and so Portland now has to try and rebuild and regroup now with Phil Neville having parted ways with the organization.
I think he will make a phenomenal broadcaster. My guy, Phil, you're a cool dude. Likable, you got a name. Coaching is not for you. Just go ahead and pass it on, move on, join Apple TV, join CBS. I don't know, but I think he's a nice guy. He is interesting, says some really cool stuff. But at the end of the day, he never showed up. I don't think he showed up when he was in Miami. I don't think he showed up when he was with the Timbers. He had moments. I think he's very motivational, and I'm sure that I'm not sure. I'm certain that he has way more of a skill set, and he's way more qualified to do what he does than many people out there, but it just hasn't worked out. And Sounder fans are actually pretty sad that he's leaving. Because
you beat up on him so much.
it was certainly nice to have a coach that was easy to beat, that had the team in shambles, that was broken up. So, right here in the Pacific Northwest, that was sad news here. People were hoping that Phil was going to continue to do just enough to keep that job, but he was unable to do it. But look, going back to the reality, the team was kind of broken. You saw frustration on the field, players going at players. The coach was having awkward post-game conferences, throwing the team under the bus, whether it was settled or straightforward. I have heard from players in that locker room that talked about how many of them felt like the coach was often trying to blame them for what was going on when it was just a lot deeper than that. So, look, that roster is not terrible. They should be better than they are. And I don't know if a new coach is going to do it immediately and bring the team back. But, there are some pieces in that team that are very interesting. It's just that it seemed like none of the players were buying in what the coach was coaching. And when you have that disbalance and you have that disconnect, it's just never going to work.
One final thing I wanted to get into with you that has nothing to do with Major League Soccer. I was watching last night, and it was, it was one of those elements where you're in Copa Libertadores, and it's decision day. It is match day 6. You're in Group D, and I was locked in on the plot line there in Group D because after 5 matches, it was a jumbled mess that needed some fixing. Universidad Católica, Cruzeiro, and Boca Juniors. Universidad Católica scores early, gets a 1-0 lead at La Bombonera. They hang on. Boca Juniors out of Libertadores, finishing 3rd in Group D, and looking at Teise after the match was over, because Teise likes to be at these hot spots and they'll do the man on the street stuff outside the stadium. Folks were pissed. And it does make interesting television, but it speaks to the larger picture. And you're wondering what is going on at Boca Juniors. And it's still what is going on at Boca Juniors, because we had the same questions at River with Gallardo. Now you're looking at Ubeda. And I'm surprised I haven't seen anything this morning from Boca about Ubeda not making it out of the locker room, and he got tarmacked and, didn't make it home still being coach. I mean, Boca and River, man, it's like they're just getting pounded on the ropes. And it's just that there's no fixes there.
I have seen more turmoil with Boca Juniors over the last couple of years than I can remember. Mm-hmm. And a lot of it has been because of the front office and the president, and, people had just daggers for some of the acquisitions that they have made over the last couple of seasons. The stigma that they have in South America for MLS, and some of these MLSers going back to their teams. It was just not a good sight. So, look, I don't think it was the coaching. This was a good game, and Universidad Católica did their job. Like, they had a game plan. They knew they were the lesser team, mm-hmm. and they just put it together, and they really frustrated Boca Juniors. So I don't see it in the coaching. I just see that sort of anger and frustration from the fan base. Long time coming. It's like there's resentment and there is frustration that has just built up, and that's where you get that sort of situation. But it is the front office, and it is that inability for the fan base that I've heard of to feel connected to that front office, like they give a shit. It's been a long time.
There's the E rating for us on a Friday. Attaboy.
It's been a long time since I've heard the fan base think that the front office cares enough to just do more. And I feel like that's where the frustration has lied.
Oh, watching that man on the street interview stuff outside the stadium last night. That was television. When people were so mad they couldn't talk and formulate sentences. By the way, Universidad Católica on the road last night in the juice boxes was a plus 600.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, look, I wouldn't. I'm not taking that, but man, it's beautiful. And if it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen in Libertadores, and in this situation, and against a team that has been under it. Look, Riquelme has been under fire. I'm still surprised that he's still the president. I mean,
he was catching hell last night, man.
He's been catching hell for like 2 years. I mean, he was a great player, but as a president, it just the shine has run off, and I'd be surprised if there's not a change beyond the coaching staff in Boca Juniors.
And for those that didn't watch the game, there was a name last night that folks know who was sitting on the bench and wasn't getting any minutes. Cello Weah. He's a part of that roster now. So, yeah.
And Velasco too. He was out there.
And so you got that going on with Boca Juniors. I had to drop that one in here since it's a Friday and everything else is on the table. What is the latest? What's going on at Pulso Sports and Sounder at Heart and all the things? What do we need to know?
Oh, yeah. Well, look, the break is here, but that doesn't mean that we're going to stop. Today we're dropping a really, really fun what we learned this week with Jeremiah Oshan. No video in this one. We're having some studio stuff that we're working out, but the audio will be out there. You'll see it on YouTube on Sounder at Heart. You see it on our podcast network on Nos Arietes in the Sounder at Heart podcast network. Really fun. Kind of a breakdown, a picture of what you've seen from the Sounders this first half of the year. We look into what needs to happen, some summer transfer stuff that you're going to want to watch, where the Sounders are scouted, what they might be able to get. I'm almost certain. I said I'm 70% sure that there'll be at least 2 new players in this summer window, and 80% that at least one will be a new player will be picked up during the summer. So whether it's a U22 or an experienced MLSer, I think that the front office knows that there's a responsibility to get this team to the next level, and you need a little bit more talent. So that's a good one. We also talk about Christian Roldan, this USMNT discourse. So check that one out. We have some really fun interviews that I'm not going to say quite yet, but we got them planned. We still got to secure one more that's going to be a big one for us. So just check it out. Wait for it. Sounder at Heart, Lobbin Scorchers, Pulso Sports. We're going to have a lot of content coming up here, some in Spanish, some in English, throughout the World Cup, of course. So MLS stop, but we continue to provide content.
You know it, brother. As always, it's great to see you, and I'm glad we have found the stopgap. We put the we put the plug back in the bathtub, and we got it all figured out until the studio space gets all squared away. It's great to see you, my friend. Great to have these conversations that we do. Have a fantastic weekend, and we will catch up with you next week.
You the man.
There he goes, Niko Moreno from Pulso Sports, Sounder at Heart, and all points in between. While we were talking, it is officially official, and I guess I have to go ahead and, well, I'm not going to give it the full, breaking news kind of deal with the graphic and everything. We'll go here. Kind of in the last hour, Jose Mourinho signed his contract to be the new Real Madrid head coach. So meet the new boss, same as the old boss. 63 years old, signed his terms last week, set to complete the return on a deal until June of 29. So it is a 2+1, or it might be just a straight up 3. Mourinho is the choice of Madrid president Florentino Perez. Triggered presidential elections May 12, which will take place on June 7. Mourinho is expected to be formally announced following those. Perez has been challenged by renewable energy entrepreneur Enrique Riquelme, who told The Athletic earlier this week Mourinho would not be his choice as the new Madrid head coach. The expectation, though, is that Perez will win the election regardless. Work has already begun on the makeup of Mourinho's backroom staff and summer recruitment. The Athletic reported back on May 16, Mourinho was set to meet Perez with an expectation he would complete a deal to become the new head coach. Had been offered an extension at Benfica. He had confirmed at a news conference, wanted to wait until after their final game of the season, the win over Estoril back on May 16, before finalizing his future. Mourinho had indicated previously he'd already conveyed to some people at Benfica that he was leaving. Benfica had been looking for a potential replacement. Looks like it's Marco Silva in the lead ahead of Ruben Amorim, who is not keen on the job. So that's where we are with Jose Mourinho. So he is officially official that he's signed his deal. It looks like it's a 3. So we'll see what happens with that 3. And I am not looking forward to it. I am not looking forward to that particular reuniting of the ways, shall we speak. That one to me is going to be, oh boy. Yeah, that one's going to kind of be out there. And so we'll keep an eye on it, but nothing speaks chaos like any kind of a signing like that. So, all right, gossip, rumor, and innuendo, and then we will send you on our collective way. So once again, Sound Collected in Fayetteville. Keep an eye out at soccerdownhere.net for what Jason has found, for the written word and everything else in between. Tomorrow I'll be down there, and we'll turn some content down there as well for your Saturday and your weekend, getting you ready for laying everything out into the week. Looks like RB Leipzig won $150 million for Yan Diomande. That's the new number. Chelsea won $161 for Enzo Fernandez. Roberto Martinez says that CR41 could play at the 2030 World Cup. I don't think as long as he's got enough raw grilled chicken and things, he'll probably play as long as he wants to. Ibrahima Konate set to leave Liverpool on a free, and Bernardo Silva looks to be a real option for Barcelona going forward. So the other rumors, Piero Hincapié set to join Arsenal permanently, perhaps from Leverkusen. Barcelona, are they diving into the party? Barcelona considering a move for Hincapié this summer, according to the 4-letter paper, so take the information at your own peril. They signed the defender, Arsenal did, on loan last summer. Permanent option clause, £45 million. They've yet to confirm whether they're going to trigger it, which could see the Ecuadorian international sign on a 5-year deal. Barcelona is now kicking the tires. Cope reports Real Madrid want to bring in PSG's midfielder João Neves, one of the top prospects in Europe, under contract through 2030, not coming cheap. Another player who could boost Madrid's flagging squad is their former winger Victor Munoz, who could be re-signed from Osasuna, as the club still own 50% of his rights. Report also from Cope states Madrid want to secure some defensive reinforcements, and they're targeting Bastoni from Inter Milan for about €50 million. Juve interested in taking Liverpool backup keeper Georgi Mamadashvili on loan for a season if they can't land Alisson Becker on a permanent. Gazzetta dello Sport reports Juve have failed to convince Liverpool to part with Alisson, who's got a deal until 27. Mamadashvili was looking for game time. The loan might be the way to go. Inter Milan defender Denzel Dumfries has emerged as an option for Liverpool, according to the 4-letter paper. Reds are keen on finding options on the right flank. Following Connor Bradley's long-term injury absence and the struggles of Jeremy Frimpong, Dumfries has a €25 million clause activating in July, entering the final 2 years of his deal. Club is also discussing the possibility of bringing Jarl Kwanza back from Bayer Leverkusen as a possible replacement for Ibrahima Konate. According to Team Talk, end of his contract, Liverpool have a return clause in Kwanza's deal, reportedly valued £69 million. Barcelona now turning their attention to Julian Alvarez after agreeing on Anthony Gordon. So now they're hopeful they can win the race on Alvarez, who's now being interested by PSG and Arsenal after being informed that he would prefer to join them over others. Bernardo Silva, a real option for Barcelona, and available as a free agent after announcing he's leaving Manchester City after 9 years when his contract expires in June. We mentioned Konate leaving on a free, and he's been in negotiations with the club over a new deal since November of 23. Told reporters in April there's a big chance he would stay. However, both parties unable to agree on the final deals, and Konate is going to depart when his contract expires June 30. Spurs moving closer to a deal, signing Andy Robertson on a free, and he ended his 9-year association with Liverpool after playing the final game last Sunday against Brentford. Brentford, speaking of, tabled a bid in the region of £40 million for FC Cologne winger Said Al-Mallah, and Cologne is still considering the offer. Xabi Alonso has made Real Madrid midfielder Arda Güler a transfer priority this summer. Real Madrid unwilling to let him leave. That's from El Nacional. Fabrizio Romano, Spurs signed Senesi on a free. Team Talk, Arsenal have intensified interest in Morgan Rogers. Deal could cost upwards of £80 million. And we'd mentioned the deal with Julian Alvarez. Fabrizio Romano on top of that. Also, Bournemouth midfielder Alex Scott has been offered a new contract to fend off any interest outside of the Vitality. Team Talk again, Arsenal increasingly confident of landing a deal to sign Leicester City youngster Jeremy Monga, the 16-year-old winger. Interest from United and City following their relegation to League One. Arsenal appear to be the front runners. Brighton midfielder Matt O'Reilly is a transfer target for Spurs this summer. 25-year-old potentially available after a loan move at Marseille earlier this campaign. That's from Football Insider. Also from them, Savinho is keen on joining Spurs as he's looking for more game time. Three-letter paper, Newcastle, Liverpool, Spurs, and Dortmund eyeing a move for Lille midfielder Angel Gomez. City, Chelsea, and Liverpool interested in signing Sunderland midfielder Chris Rigg, who is 17. That's from Gimme Sport. Barca's interest in Bastoni has cooled in recent weeks. €70 million valuation set for the transfer, complicating the deal. Gazzetta, Juve in the race to sign Jean-Philippe Mateta from Crystal Palace. He's looking to leave after winning Conference League and scoring the game-winning goal in the midweek. Football Insider, Galatasaray preparing an offer for West Ham defender Emerson Palmieri. So that is the notes on all of the gossip, rumor, and innuendo across the board. So we've got everything going on this weekend. It's Champions League, and it's all across the planet. And so once again, thanks to the cameo of Cello Balboa. That was nice. Did not know it was coming until it was coming. It's like, hey, I've got a surprise for you. Okay, who is it? And then you see you pop up in the green room. It's Cello Balboa. So it was great to catch up with Cello, great to catch up with Niko, great to catch up with Allie Brown. Thanks to Nolan Galbraith and our friends at Lexington SC as they're getting ready for Carolina Ascent in the Gainbridge Super League title game tomorrow night on Peacock at 7 o'clock. Thanks to Michael Parkhurst for the philosophical discussions that we have. And thanks to everyone that was grabbed by the USMNT, from the USMNT by Jason. So that would be Falarin Balogun. That would be Tim Weah. That would be Tim Ream. That would be Weston McKennie. And that would be Max Arfsten. So all of that getting you ready for the last 2 days of training camp before they head to Charlotte, before they come back, before they head to Chicago, where Matty Cruz will meet them head on for the send-off match, and before this cup thing that everyone has been paying attention to that's going to be going on in 2 weeks. Crazy to think about. 2 weeks away. And that'll do it for us on another week of SDH AM. Keep an eye out for the best of that's going to be on 92.9 The Game on the Odyssey app. And that's going to be also part of our weekend programming as well. We'll find some of the interviews that we've had, and we'll catch you up on the best ofs there as well. So for all of us here, to all of you there, thanks for coming back for another week of SDH AM. Back at it again Monday morning. Keep an eye on the content. Follow us on all the social medias. At Soccer Down Here, soccerdownhere.net, and all the things. So for everyone here, so that would be me, Maddie, Jason, Jarrett, Nick, Vanessa, Drew, and Sophia, and all the others. Thanks for dropping by, as you always do. Since it is the end of the week, we end it in one way and one way only. And we thank you once again for all of the stuff that we get to do here, because we couldn't do it without you. And I wanted to make sure that we thanked everybody who was in here this morning. Bart with a crashing cameo. Ricky, thanks for dropping by, and for David as well, at least in the Twitch pitch, and for all of you who are hanging out with us all season long. So for everybody here, to all of you there, let's start the weekend, everybody. We'll see you back here on Monday morning, 9:05 Eastern.
The keys on the typewriter had sharp points that kept sticking into our fingers. The dictating equipment started asking us questions, and our beepers sent electric shocks just through our body like a cattle prod. Out in the warehouse, the trucks kept banging into the docks, not even thinking about stopping. Oh, our frail bodies were strapped to the chairs, and our chairs were chained to the desks. Our pleas for justice were ignored, and the end seemed near. But we busted our slave drivers' little bitty balls. We've charged out of their brick fortress, the